Okay, hi everybody. This is Joellen Newman from Transforming Your Tomorrows, a life and business coaching company. And you know I love to do this every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, now Eastern Daylight Time. But I bring in guests from all over the country who are entrepreneurs in their own right and have their special, unique sauce of what they do. And this is my opportunity to say, hey, we're not in a fishbowl. Let's open it up and break that glass and say, you guys got to get to know these people. So tonight, I have with me Nancy Linnerooth, and Nancy is an EFT and tapping specialist, and I'm really excited to hear what she has because she's got all kinds of goodies to share with you. So I wanted to share with you first a little bit about her. Nancy brings extensive experience with her work, releasing the subconscious blocks to success that hold we entrepreneurs back from breaking through to the next level. And so when working with clients, she draws on 9 years as a Harvard Law School trained attorney. Oh, wow. 17 years as a therapist and over 14 years as a practitioner of EFT or tapping, emotional freedom techniques. So with straight talk and humor, Nancy helps her clients figure out and release what is causing their procrastination, avoidance, and self-sabotage. And those are the 3 biggies, don't I know it? They go from being ready to give up on themselves and their dreams to feeling fired up about the value they create for themselves and their clients. With Nancy's help, clients finally follow through on their dreams for their businesses and create the life they've always wanted. So tonight's talk, she titled it, Uncover Your Success Blocks. And Nancy, would you want me to read that or do you want to go into that?
Why don't you read it?
Okay. All right. So, just to give you an idea, I posted some of this on Facebook, so some of you already know. I'll check in on Facebook in a minute, and LinkedIn, different places I posted this. But, she really deals mostly with women entrepreneurs. And we do have a lot to contend with out there in the world that male entrepreneurs don't. Cultural expectations, laws, even violence. Those external blocks definitely have to be changed, right? But what holds most women back more than anything else is their internal success blocks. Those subconscious rules and beliefs that cause us to stop ourselves. Nancy will tell us about the 3 categories of these internal success blocks: mindset, visibility, and profitability, what they look like, where they come from, and how to get rid of them. So, and I just want to tell you, I've already posted in the comments section a link to a Success Blocks quiz. So if you go there, you may very well, let's see, if you give access to her brand new Uncover Her Success Blocks quiz. It's coming to you tonight, live for the first time, nobody else, fresh off the block, if you will, no pun intended. And, we're going to have fun. So Nancy, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to hear this because with your experience and background and the length of time that you've been doing it, man, this is awesome. So cool. Welcome.
Thank you, Joellen. That was a lovely introduction.
You're welcome. I'm glad, truly glad you're here. So tell us about, with your background between being an attorney and a therapist, how did you get into shifting from that to becoming an EFT tapping expert, and making this your career? That's a kind of a big shift.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was a big shift to go from being a lawyer to being a therapist. Yes. But it's really actually interesting. I was inspired to do what I love to do by a TV show in the 70s when I was in high school. Do you remember the old Bob Newhart show?
Yes, a little bit. I didn't watch him too much, but yeah, I do remember it.
Well, he was a therapist and wacky things would happen in his life and in his therapy room. But basically his job was to help people make changes and feel better. And I thought that was the best thing ever. So I'm off to college. I think, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But I got talked out of it. So I went to Harvard Law School, spent 9 years being a lawyer. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to go back. And I became the therapist.
Right.
And I did it for 17 years and it was great, but it wasn't quite what I had in mind. There's a lot of strictures around therapists. You got to follow the rules and do it the way everyone else does it. And I couldn't work with my clients to make the big changes that they really wanted and needed.
Right.
So I started this little coaching practice on the side, just for the fun of it, right?
And yeah, I get it.
And what I found was that became much more front and center for me. At the time, I was taught to do what most coaches are taught to do, accountability coaching. The idea is help your clients set their goal, figure out the steps to reach their goal, and then be there as they take each step and have them report back, how did it go? And so the idea is when you promise somebody you're going to do something, and you know that they're going to ask you next week, did you do it? You're much more likely to do it, right?
Right.
And it works great. And it did. It worked really great for my clients, except when it didn't.
Oh.
There were always a handful of clients in my coaching practice for whom it didn't matter how really, truly motivated they were. It didn't matter that they knew exactly the steps they needed to take. It didn't even matter that they knew I was going to ask them the next week, did you do the thing?
Right.
They would come back over and over again saying, oh, I didn't get around to it. Something came up. Or sometimes they even sabotage themselves. It was amazing. And I got really curious about it. So there was one client, I'll call her Rita. Rita, strangely enough, had a therapy business. She was a therapist. But I was working with her as the coach. And what was going on was she had a good practice. She had lots of people coming in and it was going well, except she wasn't making any money because she wasn't sending out the bills to the insurance companies.
Oh.
And it was, well, you're not going to make any money if you don't do that.
Problem. Yeah.
And so week after week, she'd come back saying, oh, I didn't get around to it. Or, something came up. It's like, what's going on? So I got really curious. And I had her just imagine that she was going to sit down and do the bills. And I asked her, what came to mind?
Right.
And out blurted, I'll never amount to anything.
Oh, really?
It was like, what was that? Where did it come from? Well, she knew exactly where it came from. Her stepfather used to say that to her when she was growing up all the time. Oh, she hated that guy. She was so going to prove him wrong. So she was the first in her family to go to college, the first in her family to become a professional. Right. She had this great business. And yet she was following that rule that he'd given her, that success block he gave her in her business, because her business wasn't amounting to anything. Literally, her bank account was not amounting to anything.
Right.
So I brought in this EFT, this tapping thing that I had learned in the therapy field and was using with phobias and trauma and all that sort of stuff. I brought it in and we started tapping on those memories around the stepfather. Right. And the next week she came back and she said, oh, I did the bills. It was no big thing. No big deal.
I love it.
It was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge when you can see something that is a breakthrough just with one tool affect a huge change in a situation. It literally pivots the destiny of her business because she would most likely have gone out of business. Yep. So it really pivoted from, not only not thriving, but potentially losing a business altogether to one of, oh yeah, I can get this done. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So when you talk about, looking at the mindset and the visibility, you talked about that rule coming from her stepfather. Do most of the blocks that you see in your practice come from an imprint that's been left by, family or by society, things like that? And then does working on those blocks then allow them to create, like in this example, the visibility that, okay, let me show up and do my accounting and ultimately results in the profitability? Is that the process?
That's pretty much it. Yes. I would say usually I see three main ways that one of these success blocks gets planted, basically. And one could be like Rita's stepfather, giving her, that important person in your life gives you this message when you're a child, and it just goes straight into the subconscious. And it hangs around there and gets triggered throughout your life. Sometimes it's more what you make sense of that's going around you, usually as a child again, but you're making sense of it as a 4-year-old or a 7-year-old or a 12-year-old or whatever. And so if you internalize your belief about the world as a 4-year-old, and then you get to be 34, it's not going to work as well. So I've seen some really interesting ways where the some things that were happening in the family or things that happened in just in the outside world, in the culture. I worked with one person who who grew up in the Soviet Union, with all the messages around, don't be a capitalist big dog, don't have more than anybody else. And she came to me because she was on a money roller coaster. And so she'd make too much money, according to her subconscious, and then she would have to like buy a big program or stop working for a while. And then when it got bad enough, then she'd get back on and make some more money. And it was fascinating. And that was one of the threads that was causing it. And the third way that I've seen is usually those other two happen in childhood. This third one can happen anytime. And that's when something traumatic happens, or at least it feels traumatic. It could be a rejection, an accident, a divorce, something like that. And then you make sense of it. You start believing that this is the way the world is, or what always happens to you, or people always, you internalize it and it gets generalized. It's not just this one time this thing happened, but this is the way it's always going to be for me. And then you live from that. And then sometimes you don't know where it comes from, but there it is.
I love it because, I think so many of us, even as coaches, we have our own blocks, and that's why coaches have coaches, right? But I also, just, you never know exactly where it's coming from. And you guys who are listening, there is the link on Facebook and on YouTube, but it has unblockresults.com/ER, so that you can take this, to uncover your success blocks quiz that she's created. And tonight's her debut with the quiz. So by all means, take it. I think that you will enjoy, it's going to be interesting to see the outcome. So I think so many of us as entrepreneurs, our whole goal is to expand our audience and to reach people, but to be profitable at doing that. And so many of us aren't profitable. I've certainly gone through very fallow periods, even in my coaching business. And then other times where it's like, okay, it's humming. And I guess that's inherent with being an entrepreneur. But like you talked about that lady who was up and down on the roller coaster with her profitability, I prefer a little bit more sustained, level, as opposed to, oh, okay, this isn't quite enough.
I hear you.
So yeah. And I think that's another reason why I love doing these shows, because especially as we've pivoted through the past year from the belly, what I call belly to belly networking, right? We're out there, we're either at the chamber meetings, whether it's breakfast or lunch, or the cocktail meetings. And now we're Zoomers. We're professional Zoomers. And boy, haven't we built their stock. But it's still a little bit different. People still want to have the belly to belly, right? But with that, so it's, for some, it's limited their access and their comfortability with the camera. It's, I've talked to people, it's like, oh, I don't want to get on camera. Well, guess what? We're all human. Sometimes we're just chilling out and look like crap. I mean, believe me, there's been days that people have seen me as like, what, Joellen? Are you okay? But it's really helping them understand that we are now living in a world where we, market each other through the live Facebooks and all these, podcasts and streaming like that. But that's why I love to do it, so that people hear your message and understand how important it is to get on a stable platform, to release those blocks and get heard again, whether it is a block of being on camera or whether it is a block on shifting from the belly to belly, it's like, well, how do I do this? And believe me, I've tried different platforms. I happen to use one now that I like. It allows me to live stream different places, but some people can't. I'm just talking about little blocks for entrepreneurs that we've had to shift over the past year. It's like, well, how do I learn this technology, or how do, but ultimately it drives the profitability. So when you, who are an expert in so many years just doing EFT, not just in, starting with your clinical practice, but now moving into the coaching practice and making those huge shifts for people allows them a level of success and a sustained success, I would suspect, that wasn't there for them before. So I find it powerful.
Well, it's fascinating. I have a group of women entrepreneurs that I meet with. They're my MVP club, Mindset, Visibility, Profitability.
Yeah.
We have 4 sessions on each one of those sections, and everyone gets hot seats. And I think probably the most blocks there are, not just with my group, but with all women entrepreneurs and maybe all people, is around money. There's just so many more blocks there. But the interesting thing I've found, particularly over this last year, as you're saying, is that in the visibility section, all these women have issues around showing up on camera. It's just, there is something that we've taken in that's got us saying, ooh, maybe I shouldn't. I don't look perfect today. I can't be on camera, right?
Right.
So
it is funny. I've had clients who say, no, I want to see you in person, more than one. And I said, let's just try it, because, right. Yep. And they're women, and beautiful women too. I mean, these women are not ugly. And it's like, come on. I mean, not that any woman is ugly, really, in my mind, but it's like, come on, let's try it. Took me a while for a couple of them to say, all right, let's just do this. And now they're totally comfortable with it. But you do need to nurture that and, help them, create that block. So you guys, I have scrolling at the bottom of the screen, www.nancy@unblockresults.com. So if you wanted to reach out to her, by all means, go there and she'll be able to connect with you. But be sure to check out her quiz that is posted on Facebook that has unblockresults.com/ER. And you can see the picture there, and the Uncover Your Success Blocks quiz. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to take it. And boy, what is she going to learn about me? But that's the fun of, I get to learn through this too. So it's very cool. So I'm excited. So if you haven't, if you missed part of the show tonight, by all means, go back and listen to it. It's going to be, there on Facebook, on YouTube. Just go to Joellen Newman. It will also be on LinkedIn by tomorrow as a link. Or I might be able to pare it down to, be a video there. But either way, it'll take you to the full video. So I think it's really juicy and good. But Nancy, I know this was short and sweet, but I loved it. Right. You're so good. I can't wait to take this quiz myself and say, okay, Joellen, where are your blocks right now?
Joellen, I will never know, because I won't get the results. You're the only one who gets the results.
Okay.
Then you go and you see what they mean, and then you can get the 3 free videos to start tapping on any one of the mindset, visibility, or profitability common block.
Wow. So you guys get 3 free videos if you take based on what your block is, right? And just take the quiz. What's the downside? That's awesome. So, yeah. All right, perfect. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I loved it.
Thank you, Joellen. It was lovely to be here.
And you guys, again, reach out to Nancy at unblockresults.com. All right. I will see you. I may take next week off. I'll leave a post in all the areas. So it's holiday week. It's Passover and Easter. But otherwise, we're going to have a special guest April 7th, I think it is, that you will love. Robin Price is national. She's a national speaker and author and everything. That's going to be very cool. She's not an entrepreneur on the rise. She's the mentor we go to. So I thought every once in a while I'm going to change it up, and you're going to see that too. So, all right. Thank you again, Nancy. This was awesome. And I will talk to you all soon. Thank you for being here. Bye.